Hi guys, let's start today's call. The first agenda item is just to follow up on a couple blocker tickets. Maybe we can go to the one that regarding the conflicts in REST. Wayne, do you want just to walk us through what happened and what plans for testing?
So basically what happened is in OpenMRS we have the core REST resource, but the REST resource that OpenMRS provide doesn't have the functionality that we want. For example, we want to do the delta. OpenMRS doesn't have the way to do that yet. So our initial approach was to extend the original REST resource and add new functionality. But apparently, the way OpenMRS REST module work will not allow us to easily extend that. So instead of because when you say a REST resource is handling an object, in this case, it's a encounter, for example, because we want to have we want to get encounter only after the last synchronization date. When OpenMRS um, try to find handler for the URL. So basically, instead of using the URL as the key, OpenMRS use the object as a key. So when OpenMRS look for encounter handler, they will see two encounter handler now. One is the core and one is coming from us. So it confuse which one to execute when they're supposed to look at the URL as the key. I don't know if that makes sense or not. So the fix that I did is instead of using encounter, I create a subclass for encounter object. So all our REST resource now handle the subclass of the original core object. So I'm hoping this will prevent the interference.
So it makes sense to me. So you're saying that because it's hard to do the extension, so when we do the extensions, when there's a call, it's supposed to look for our handler, but then since like it now have more than one handler, it got confused or conflict sometimes, and because they're not using the URL, they're using looking for the handler.
Yeah.
And then the workaround is like creating a subclass.
Yeah, instead of using the original.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense to me, and I wonder if it makes sense to other members, but because it's also a good learning lessons for all of us. So Simon, does it make sense for you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. How about for CDSS team? Is it okay?
Yeah, it is okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I give an example in the chat. Like, so the URL free1/encounter should be handled by encounter resource 1_8, for example, if we're using 1.8, or encounter resource 1_9 if we're in 1.9 OpenMRS, and then our module, because we're extending the functionality, we introduce a new URL where we get our encounter v1 slash mUzima slash encounter, because we don't want to override the original v1 encounter, v1 slash encounter. And then the handler for the URL v1 slash mUzima slash encounter is the encounter resource that's coming from our module. But what happened is when OpenMRS create the list of handler, they OpenMRS core think that v1 slash encounter and v1 slash mUzima slash encounter, they think this is the same they handle it using encounter resource instead of separating. When I hit v1 slash encounter, find the encounter resource 1.8 or 1.9. When the request goes to v1 slash mUzima slash encounter, use the encounter resource. So OpenMRS core instead of doing that, every time you hit v1 slash encounter or v1 slash mUzima slash encounter, it will use the same encounter resource because both of them handle encounter type object.
So you mentioned that just now before the call start, that we need to do some cleaning on the mUzima test server.
Yeah. I noticed our data is inconsistent. I think because we did a lot of development, and along the way, I think some of the processor didn't process the data correctly. I think we should just refresh our test server with like a clean data and then clean what do you call it? Gold.
Okay.
Without the form entry stuff.
Yeah, minus commentary, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think we can test this REST interference.
So do you think we should test it in the mPap test server first? Because mPap, we can have like one mPap developer to help with testing just before putting into production.
Sure, I can push the latest onward file to Dropbox later on.
Okay. So let's just do that. I think probably it's easier, but at the same time, I think it's good that we need to refresh our mUzima test server data, just for many reasons. So let's say that Win is going to help us to provide the latest OMOP. So for and then I will coordinate with mPap dev team on doing testing in mPap test server, and then another one is refreshing the mUzima test server data. Between Win, you and Simon, who can do it? So Simon and Win, we need one of you to do that.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So next is, so before we move on this, I think because this is like a major blocker for mPap implementations, I just want to make sure everyone understand that, and if there are any questions, please ask now. If not, we'll move to the next item. Okay, so let's move on. The next item is the discussions on, I'm going to stop sharing this one. Discussion on getting ready to put our APK in Google Play. So there's a couple items underneath that. One is, so yesterday Simon and I chatted because he's working on the Canon EMR integration. So it brought up a couple topics that to discuss. Because the workflow in other settings might be so different from how things are in Empath. So in Empath, we make, let's say that we make the MRS universal ID as a required field, but then that's not the case for other implementations. So if we want to put something, put an APK on Google Play, we probably need to make some minor changes on the APK so that it would not become a mandatory field. There's another item is about different workflows on issuing the page identifier. So it also might affect how we should make our APK, generic APK on Google Play need to some changes as well. So Simon, do you want to go through those for us?
Yeah, okay. This one came up because looking at the way Kenya EMR works, is that on their form, on the registration form, they have two identifiers which are not mandatory, and they are equivalent to what we refer to as other identifiers on our registration form. And what happens is that during registration, they don't input the preferred identifier because the preferred identifier is generated by Kenya EMR once you try to save the newly registered patient. So the preferred identifier in this case is the OpenMRS ID, while for Empath case they are using the MRS ID. So and that's why the point came out. Probably we'll want to make the APK not to depend on the MRS ID. Because as per the current implementation, the MRS ID is mandatory on the registration form, and also there's some code that depends on it. So that if you save a form that has no MRS ID, it will throw an error. So so today I've attempted to work on that, but I'm not done yet. To try to see whether we can save the form without the MRS ID and submit the data to server side. But for a complete implementation, what I'm seeing is at least it should be able to accept saving the form without MRS ID and displaying a patient summary in the patient dashboard, submitting the form to server side, and later on it should be possible to download the generated ID from the server side. Yeah, so far that's what I have to say.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about that if the ID is being generated from the system, from the server side, how we can get those generated ID back to the device side? Do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, and I've not figured that one out yet, but I know the challenge would come because I know the way the APK is used is during registration, they would issue the ID to a patient. But in the new case where the ID is generated at the server side, and looking at the case where processing of that registration may not happen immediately. In fact, the providers would register a patient and then sync the data later on to server side, and it may process even a day or even some time after.
Simon.
So the challenge would be how would this work?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Simon, my suggestion would be just use the current workflow for registration, which means they'll be given the ID at the time of registration. Okay. I think we can have a conversation with Kenya EMR eventually on what makes sense, because the way the mobile would be used would be a little bit different from the point of care system. Okay, so the mobile will be used in the community, people won't be connected, and so they might actually opt for an option where people are going there with IDs already, just like the way we are doing. So essentially at this time, I wouldn't spend too much time changing the workflow for giving the ID number, okay? And we can explain to them, why we chose that approach. If in the future we need to kind of figure out, getting the ID generated from the central, we can work on that later, but it's not really a priority at this point. We might spend a lot of energy for what is actually not a priority for anyone. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
And as related to MRS ID, essentially we're going to be just replacing MRS ID with Open MRS ID as the required field when you fill a form.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Hope that makes your life a little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be easy. So the change to effect that would be very minimal. So it would make my life easy, actually. So Eda, that's my update. I don't know if you also want me to go ahead and explain what I'm doing with the Kenya EMR.
Yeah, I think it'll be helpful, yes.
Yeah, so yesterday I spent quite some time with Nicholas. He's the Kenya EMR developer. And it was basically to show him what we are doing in mUzima, how it works, and also for him to explain to me how Kenya EMR works. So what I'm doing so far is to finalize on the registration bit and also the blue card, and make it available come next Monday. Then he will provide a server where we shall do an installation. We do the setup, and then we can continue testing from that point moving forward. So for the blue card, what they have done so far is to split it into different forms. There's a page that deals with registration, so we leave that for the registration form, and the other sections are split into 4 different forms. So I'm working on those forms so that we can now be able to continue testing from there next Monday.
Thanks, Simon.
Could I ask, did they already have all their forms are HTML forms, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but obviously you have to do them on kind of the mUzima format. But did he provide you the HTML versions of their forms?
Yes, those ones are I have already. I already have them. Yeah.
Could you share with us those forms, or share with me? I'm actually just more interested in the concepts, because when it comes to deciding some of the other items.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I will send them to you after this.
Okay. If there's no more other questions, let's move to the next agenda item. Thank you so much, Simon. So I just want to kind of wrap up looking at our current tickets, and also looking into what ticket we should include for the next sprint. We are moving a little bit slower than before for a few, for other reasons. So I kind of want to narrow down to just a few critical tickets that we want to focus on. I'm thinking maybe we should have just like a one week sprint just to clean up those critical tickets first. and then we can just move back to the regular 2-week sprint if that's okay. I just want to hear from everyone's thoughts on that, because we right now what I'm thinking are the blockers tickets are the 270, which is the one that Shrita is working on in terms of adding new columns for the error resolution summary page, and also adding the updating the search function so that the data managers or the project manager can go and search the error message and make changes. As this is like one of the major deliverables for one of our projects. And another critical blockers are those 2 Huawei tickets, since they are blockers for the LAC team when they use the Huawei devices, and they plan on starting implementation of collecting data in real time, and as well as updating on the costing form. So those are the tickets that I think are critical, of course, in addition to the rest conflict tickets that Win shared with us just now. So do you guys have a good sense that do you think we will be able to take care of those tickets in a week, or you think that it still need like a 2 weeks time?
I think we can wait
Go ahead,
for
Win.
this one to be done.
Say one more time.
I think we should wait until this one is done, because it's
So the current sprint is going to end Monday.
mm-hmm.
So do you think we should have another 2-week sprint to clean up the current tickets, or 1 week is enough?
Is this the last one, Ada?
The last day.
I think, is it possible for us just to wait for the next sprint? Because we still need to test out the RAS interference first, and then this one.
Okay, so let's just do the 2 weeks time, because I really want to clean up those critical tickets.
Yeah.
And then after that, we just do the publish on the Google Play, and that's it, you know. And then after that, we can work on other tickets.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we cannot keep dragging. Yeah. So let's just agree on 2 weeks, so that we clean up all the blocker tickets, and then do intensive testing, and then put on Google Play. That's the plan. It's okay for everyone? Okay.
Yeah, it's okay for us.
Okay, cool. So that's pretty much what I have in terms of like the upcoming sprint. The next item is the implementation update. Ruth, do you want to talk about yours?
Okay, I was able to test the dispensary form, and as it is still in progress, I forwarded my findings to Savai. So I hope to test when he has finalized the new version of the form.
Yes, for the CDM one. So for the dispensary form as well as the health center form. So we had a discussion yesterday. Simon and I had a discussion yesterday. We feel that there are still some inconsistency on some of the information that we're given. Especially on the, we're not even sure why on the new version of the dispensary form some of the fields are removed, but then on the reminder requirements, they're asking for that, you know, those has to be removed. So it creates a lot of confusions. If there's no way we can implement what the reminders, you know, what the reminder requirement asks us to do, and some of the information is not even appear on the form. So I think let's just put, so I was suggesting that let's just put on both the dispensary form and health center form on hold for now, while we are sorting out all these requirements. So let's just clarify all the requirements first, so that it will not take up Simon's time on that. So Ruth, I will So Ruth, I will work with you to compare all those the previous version of the dispensary form as well as the current one, and along with the reminder specifications requirements, and so that we can identify all those discrepancy, and then work with CDM, and then have a call with CDM team, and then try to clarify those one by one.
Okay.
Yeah, would that be okay?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. If not, it would just like become like impossible cycle that Simon would never able to finish it. Yeah, because the requirements are not very clear. Yeah.
Ed,
Okay.
Go ahead.
keep me in the loop of
Yes.
for that conversation.
Sure.
And again, I think we have to deal with these teams with an approach of we will not program anything until everything is defined, and once we've settled on the final form, you're not coming back to us with any new changes, because it ends up taking, as you've seen, a lot of the team's time, which could be better used doing other things.
Yes.
So at some point, we just have to put our foot down and just, is this the final form? Beyond this, you are on your own. What we specified.
Yeah, I agree with Martin. And plus, Lawrence is on leave right now, so so I think it's good for us just Ruth and I just to cross-check and identify all the issues, and then send to them, and then we can have a call just to like clarify all those things, and then wait for them to give us the final version before anything happens. That's why I think it's good just to put those two forms on hold, because it's just impossible for us to keep putting resources there and not getting the results.
Yes. Just keep in the loop so that at least I can inform the PI.
Yeah, I will do that. Thanks, Martin.
Okay.
Thanks, Ruth.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Robai.
Oncology, they are doing well. The only issue they're experiencing is, like I reported, they're not able to save the pleasure form as complete. So I'll create some time to look for Savai so that he can look at the error why they're not able to save the form as complete.
I don't know which version they're using, but like I was testing with the September 4th version of the APK and the OMOPs, and I was able to save all the this oncology forms, including the dysplasia form, as complete form data, also sent back to the server. So are they using the February APK? Do you know?
Yeah, they're using the February APK.
So which version of the dysphagia form they're using? Not the late. They should not use the latest one, because the latest one have a lot of code changes to accommodate. Is it the old one or?
Not the latest one.
Okay. So it's in AMR's production, right?
Yes.
Okay. I will look at that.
During my testing yesterday, we found out an error. When a user interrupts internet, we get an error, an exemption has been thrown while uploading data. So I was to create a ticket on that, but I've not been able to capture the error log. So Savai is helping us. We are not able to install the SDK tool manager to capture the error log. He's helping us work on that, then I'll create a ticket for that.
Yeah, so let's just explain to other members who are not familiar what we're talking about. So Robai and Ruth confirmed that when uploading or syncing the complete form data to the server, if the internet somehow get interrupted or not very stable, it will throw in a message saying that exception is thrown, that while uploading data. So that message is not very clear for most of the users what that means. So we're suggesting that maybe we should rephrase the message to something saying that, you know, internet connection was interrupted, the process has been stopped or something like that, so that they would not think is something wrong with the APK with the application. So that's what we're suggesting. Just by rephrasing the rewording the message to the users.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Robert.
Okay.
So Eric, actually, Eric, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Ada.
So you already did the teleconsultation report in terms of like what works, what doesn't work, and then on the fingerprinting thing, you kind of still stuck in the Windows setup testing. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct, Ada.
I wonder if other members got a chance to try on the machine.
I did a mail to the larger mUzima development group, and I put a recording there of what I was experiencing, but I've not received any response yet from any member. Actually, what Ashna was asking her, she advised that maybe I can write a mail through the mUzima development group, and maybe somebody, if somebody has tested it out on a Windows machine and how they got to resolve the problem, maybe they could advise. Yeah. So I've not seen any response. Maybe I can just ping everybody again.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes. And Florida and Mary?
Florida and Mary are preparing the DMS presentation, which will happen after the sprint.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. So those are the implementation updates?
Yes.
So I just want to follow up on one thing. So once in a while we are told that the mUzima modules are stopped or not, the scheduled task is not running in the ML production. So what is the workflow? What is the workflow that who's responsible for checking those?
I think Lagat usually checks, but he is not here to respond.
Okay.
Because I've seen him before going to Miencha's desk to request for the module to be restarted. So I think he's the one who follows up.
Yeah, so I think we need to have, probably we need to come up with some kind of schedule check or something like that, because last time I think we have a few hundred forms just queuing and not being processed. So I think we need to have like a better schedule on in terms of like checking, making sure things are running. Okay. So we still have some time left. Any other topics anyone want to bring up for discussions or just update? Awesome. So sounds like a no. So we can have a short call today, and so just want to FYI for those who are interested in seeing the device management and security demo, please join us in 15 minutes through Google Hangout. I think Florida already sent out the Google Hangout link to your email. If you need, just reach out to one of us. We can share with you.
Eda.
Yes, Martin, go ahead.
Any block?
What's that?
Are there any blockers on the device management application at this point?
There's still one more ticket.
Okay. Okay. Which ticket is that, and is that on SAM?
Yeah, it's on SAM, yes.
Okay. It'll be good to know which ticket that is. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. So that we can
Right.
go through those in the demo, and then we plan to record it in case others cannot attend.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome. I think it's just good, like since Mary and Florida spend so much time on that, and I think it's good just for them to walk us through how it works, and also they help us for documenting, you know, what has been resolved, what hasn't been resolved. So I think it's a good time for us to set up like a work in progress session, so everyone understands how it works. Okay, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.